What's up, Wall fans, Common Sensors, podcast consumers? Welcome to the video feed for Common Sense Sundays with Go Tell It to the Wall, and this is episode 85. I'm, of course, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. We are going to have a slightly shorter show today. I'll explain that at the top of the episode, but we have a lot of stuff to get into, and if you're watching the video feed, you might see something off to my left. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. There's a lot to talk about that you might not even realize we're going to talk about it unless maybe you follow me on the Instagram and all those other things. So all of that being said, let's get right into episode 85.
Who 1, 2, 3, go tell it to the wall. Tell it to the wall. Go tell it to the wall. Tell it to the wall.
All right, Wall fans, Common Sensors, podcast consumers, welcome to another very exciting edition of Common Sense Sundays with Go Tell It to the Wall, hosted by me, of course, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and this is episode 85. That's right, episode 85 on this fine August summer afternoon, evening, morning, depending when you're listening to this. It's afternoon for me. And I'll be honest, if you're watching the video feed, if you're not, this doesn't concern you, but it is. We have broken the record here in Los Angeles for like that has stood since 2018. I looked at it just popped up as I was coming in the studio. It's only been a couple years, but we have broken the record. It's like 98, 99 degrees out there. It's something crazy. So I cannot confirm nor deny that I'm actually wearing pants while sitting in this chair. Don't be one of those people that tries to tilt the video down. It doesn't work like that. I have to tilt it down, in case you weren't aware of that. Reminds me of some funny stories. I've dealt with a lot of editors over the years, and the editors always had these funny stories, so I'm not going to get tangented before we even kick things off. Before we get into the meat of things, let's talk about our social plugs. You can keep up with us during episodes, after episodes, before episodes, whenever you so please, and you can do that in multiple locations. One of those would be facebook.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. That's right, facebook.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. We also have our official YouTube channels. Head on over to youtube.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. Subscribe to our channel, especially if you're a regular YouTube user. There's all kinds of great content up there. You know you're watching cat videos and all this other stuff. You may as well watch some good common sense content while you're hanging out on the YouTube. Again, youtube.com/go-tell-it-to-the-wall. And of course, my own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean, SoCalSean, at SoCalSean. You definitely want to be over there right now. My most recent post is involving something we're going to talk about when we get to entertainment news. And I said it at the top of the video feed. There is something sitting over here to my left, and if you're seeing that on the video, you know we're going to talk about it. And that's also pertaining to my most recent Instagram post. So highly, highly recommend you checking me out over on Instagram at SoCalSean. And of course, we have our official website, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That is your most important one-stop shop for everything that is Common Sense Sundays, Go Tell It to the Wall, and yours truly, Sean O'Rourke. You're also going to find links to those things I just mentioned. So remember the website above all else. You're also going to find a link to our Patreon campaign. If you see fit to help us out and you have the means to do so, please do so on Patreon or support some other great creators, artists, musicians, and whatnot that are also on Patreon. If you don't want to do that, but you want to support us, you can head over to our merch website, linked directly from SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Pick up some Common Sense merch, you know, and I know it's hot now, but we got sweatshirts up there, and right now everyone's complaining about the heat. In a month or so, we're going to start complaining about the cold. I don't usually complain about the cold. I like the cold. I'm like, how many layers do I need? I'm good. I can get my hoodies and my flannels out, and I'm all about it. But I digress. Pick up some Common Sense merch there right on the merch website. I know I've been saying it, and I apologize to everyone who may be waiting for it. The new logo's not up there yet. It's going to be up there soon. I had a hell of a week in a good way, just very busy, lots of stuff going on, and I just haven't been able to get the website updated. It is not just clicking a button. I do have some people that help out with certain things, that admin pages that help produce the episodes themselves. Nobody's helping on the merch website. It's me sitting in the studio on a computer and updating everything on there individually. Mind you, it's not just a click, there it all is. Nope, got to go through and update each item individually. So that's coming soon. Don't worry about it. We are going to have a slightly shorter episode today. I know I've said that before, and who knows if it's actually going to be shorter. No crazy reason or anything. I've got both my parents in town. My daughter's running around. They brought their giant German Shepherd, so I've got 2 dogs running. I need a little extra family time, so we're not going to spend too much time on the episode today. You're still going to get your weekly dose of common sense, and trust me, there's some great stuff that happened this week, so we're going to avoid the ranting. although there's always a little bit of ranting. All right, now that we've gotten through all of that, just ignore the thing to my left if you're watching the video feed, because that's further down the episode. Let's get into some digital trends. All right, this one seems harmless. It's not even a challenge, but a new thing has emerged on TikTok now. It is apparently being called the Quiet Place game. Now, this was spawned from the movie A Quiet Place. I believe that is the John Krasinski and Emily Blunt film. I haven't seen it, but apparently that's in order to stay away from the monsters or whatever in the film, you have to stay completely quiet. That's how they track you, is they listen. So what people have done is they are blindfolding one person, giving them a Nerf gun, and everyone kind of hides around the house. And then the person that's blindfolded tries to hear the people and shoot them with the Nerf gun. And to be fair, this is pretty harmless until the blindfolded person runs into a bookshelf or something and loses an eye. But okay, I'm not going to go super safety man here. Let's go safety third instead of safety first. So I can get behind that. But I'm seeing this stuff, and it's really just a modern take on Marco Polo. Am I wrong here? The only difference is the person that's blindfolded or has their eyes closed, and when you're playing Marco Polo as a kid, there's always the one kid that was not fully closing their eyes when they were it, So at least the blindfold helps out. But this is essentially just a different type of Marco Polo. Let's not pretend we have created some grand new game, some whole awesome new trend. No, my 5-year-old was playing Marco Polo a couple weeks ago at the swimming pool, so it's not that big a deal. But if this is something you want to do, then by all means. Just don't lose any eyes from Nerf darts or from walking around blindfolded. And I guess the object of the game is stay quiet. The one advantage, I guess, is nobody's running around a wet pool. That was always a fun thing when you're a kid. And there's always a parent, what are you doing? And then the fish auto. Getting tangented already. All right, let's move along. That's enough of that Quiet Place game. If you're interested, go on the TikTok. I don't do the TikToking thing. It's funny, something came up recently, and they were like, oh, yeah, no, they did it on. I was like, nah, I don't. Not on the TikTok. Unless someone shares a video from TikTok on another platform. I don't know what's happening on there. All right, let's talk about Marge. Oh, good old Marge. She is the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to common sense, because nothing she does involves common sense. It's all blatant stupidity, or it's all an act. I can't quite figure it out, because how can so many dumb things come out of the mouth of one person if it's not at least somewhat of an act? I don't know. But MTG, now she's coming out. This is her new thing. She did an interview. She's now once again claiming that the perpetrators of January 6th were all Antifa in disguise, trying to make the Orange Menace look bad. Antifa. Here's the kicker on that, is if you do just a little bit of search recently, like this past week, Marge decided to take a photo op with a supposed person being persecuted. And let me remind you, she has also called the people jailed over January 6th political prisoners, and defending them and saying they shouldn't be jailed. Right there. Not only that, but she had a staged photograph with a supposed person who is sitting in jail for insurrection on January 6th. I'll be honest, I haven't spent a lot of time in jail cells, but you could tell from the picture that it's not actually a fucking jail cell. It is some weird setup that she did for this photo op. This is where the hypocrisy and the stupidity just becomes amazing. Is she just messing with everybody? Because you cannot have it both ways. She doesn't actually know what the fuck is going on, and she's just making shit up off the cuff. Not on top of that, and on top of that, we know it's not Antifa. We've had proof there are Trump supporters that have been arrested and have admitted to it, and many that have testified. But yet we still let this fucking Marge woman walk around and saying stuff and holding political office. I am all for having younger people in Congress, but not if they are as dumb as a doorknob, such as Marge. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, it's MTG, but we call her Marge. We got Marge and Bobo sitting up there in Congress. Bobo's been quiet lately. Let's see why that is. Who knows? Probably because I think she's actually up for re-election, so I'm probably hoping it goes her way. All right, here's a hashtag that's spreading like wildfire on the Twitter over the past couple days, and that's hashtag fake Christian. This one pops up every once in a while, and it usually pertains to somebody pretending to be Christian and coming out and making statements that are not actually Christian. This one in particular is spawned by Mike Pompeo, that useless piece of shit, and he came out and was talking about the rabid left and how we're taking morality out of. I'm not even going to quote the exact tweet, but it's more of this Christian nationalism. We all should be Christians. Well, here's the thing. Just being a Christian, and I don't know if it ever was the case, but at one time you could, at least to an extent, assume a person who was Christian was a morally good person. We're done with that. And I'm not going to sit here and say all Christians are terrible. I know many Christian people who practice their faith. They keep it to themselves. They don't try to impose their beliefs on other people. Totally fine. The fake Christians that we were talking about are a lot of the politicians right now, and they're just going crazy when it comes to not actually taking care of people, not actually helping people, and simply serving their own interests. For those of you that are even somewhat familiar with the Bible, if Jesus Christ walked on earth today, especially in the United States of America, he would be flipping over every single fucking table he could find. And that is literally out of the Bible. Something that Jesus did and is in the Bible. And can you imagine if he came into the situation that the U.S., really the world, but especially the United States of America, he'd be flipping every table in Washington. That's just a fact. And if you don't think that's a fact, you are in fact one of these hashtag fake Christians. Read the Bible. I am not a Christian, but even I know that. All right, and then Joel Osteen. Here we go. He's trending on the socials. This happens every now and then as well, because what happens is news of his net worth and whatnot tends to seep out, and then people go, wait a minute. He's a Christian minister, supposed to be helping people. Why is he worth $100 million? Why does he have to have a $40 million mansion? All I can say is this is why a show exists called The Righteous Gemstones. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's hilarious either way. But that's really, Righteous Gemstones, yes, it's a satire, but it's a satire based on stuff that happens within these mega churches throughout the United States of America. Again, not all churches practice Christianity, do good things for people. I'm all for that. But you don't need a giant mansion. You don't need to be bilking people for money and making it seem like they're spending money to help others when they are, in fact, just buying you new cars and new houses and new furniture. Do better, Joel Osteen. All right, let's move on to some COVID updates here. I'm going to need a lot of water today. That's because it's freaking hot out, man. I don't know how hot it is where you are. I know in the UK, I believe it did cool down a little bit from that heat wave they're having, but we're getting it. And this past week, that part's gotten a little better, but here in California, at least Southern California, it's been humid. That's where I really melt. Like, I can do a little bit of heat in the dry heat, but once it gets humid, forget about it. And I'm like, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I would walk outside and go, I live in California. Part of the reason I live here is to get away from the humidity that they have in the Midwest and the Northeast and the South. Like, lots of places I've lived. But nope, we're getting that humidity coming through. All right, let's talk a couple COVID updates here. I don't have a lot. I'm getting real tired of talking about COVID, but we're going to do it anyway. I don't know why. Why do I torture myself like this? And because I can torture all of you. But I really don't have much. Numbers seem to be leveling off. That's why I mentioned last episode, LA did not impose mask mandates because the numbers of positive cases have begun to level off. That is a good sign. However, I would like to remind everyone of a year ago, right around this time, it was also looking good. And then we had another variant come in. Then it started to look good, and then Omicron came in. So don't get that false sense of safety. And I'm not saying be scared, for the love of God, but just be smart. Still be cautious. Wear a mask, wash your hands, all these things that we should have been doing anyway. Continue to do that, because we're not done yet. We always, it's like, right when I think I'm out, they pull me right back in. And it's like, that's kind of what COVID is doing right now. You start feeling safe, and then suddenly, oh no, here's another variant, and we're back at not quite square one, but damn close to it. And now, not COVID, but COVID-related, now we have monkeypox. For the love of God, monkeypox. It's just keep on coming. It was officially declared a national emergency here in the United States this week. I know other countries have also been dealing with it, but it is officially a national emergency, and it seems like there's just no escaping any kind of sickness at this point. You're either going to get COVID, you're going to get monkeypox, you're going to get both. Who knows? But just, again, continue to use caution. If you feel sick and you're getting symptoms of monkeypox, go to the damn doctor. Because I did see an article the other day how a certain doctor, and whoever it was wasn't important, but the point was valid, was people with monkeypox are getting misdiagnosed and they're not getting into the hospital for treatment as quickly as they could have to then prevent more painful effects from the monkeypox virus. So if you're starting to feel that, make sure they check you for that specifically. I think that's your best bet at this point. And I do want to bring up one positive side that we have gotten from COVID. I've brought this up over the years. I stopped smoking, I stopped biting my nails, and I lost weight somehow throughout COVID. And I'll be honest, the weight has fluctuated. It's not the lowest it's been during COVID right now, but it's still not as bad as it was. But another just community effect, positive effect, I would say, from COVID is the outdoor dining. And this is especially prevalent in Los Angeles. Now, I realize on the East Coast or places where it rains a lot, this is not as much a viable option. But in Southern California, we barely get rain. It's quite warm even in November. I mean, it can get cold, but it's doable to have outside seating at restaurants and such. It seems like a lot of restaurants are going to push to continue doing that even post-COVID. Although at this point, who knows when we'll be post-COVID? We might just be dealing with COVID for the rest of our lives. But the positive side of that is I think for a lot of restaurants, it has actually improved their restaurant space. There's a couple restaurants right near me that put out outdoor seating, found a way to make it at least somewhat permanent, and it has made their place better. There's one place in particular, it's a bar I really like, not far from the house, it's walking distance. It was just an inside bar for years. I've been going there for years since I've lived in the area. But with COVID, they took the parking lot and made it an outdoor area with seating and umbrellas and everything else. So when it was just an indoor bar, you couldn't bring kids in there, obviously. Most bars, at least in California, you can't bring kids in unless they're serving food, and they didn't serve food. Now what they've done is they have a small menu. They have this outdoor area. You can bring kids. You can bring dogs. They can't go into the bar area, but you can walk straight to the outside part, run in, get a beer, order some food. And not only that, but you can bring food from the other restaurants like around there. There's totally takeaway windows. You can get some tacos, some pizza, any of that kind of stuff. Pick it up, bring it in there. Huge plus for that business. And I've talked to people at the business, and they're like, yes, this has been great for us. So as much as COVID's been a pain and has been a hindrance for the past almost 3 years, there is a couple positive things that have come out of that. So I do want to throw that in there to COVID. I do want to say to continue to be safe and considerate of others, because maybe you've gotten COVID and you're not afraid. There's a lot of people out there that are, I don't want to say afraid, but are cautious because it can affect them a lot more than it does other people. So just be considerate of those people. If people are wearing a mask, there's no reason to give them a hard time. Wear a mask. It's all good. You should be wearing a mask inside too, just to be safe. So continue to have that compassion for others. All right, I don't want to talk mental health this week. I have some other stuff to get through. Like I said, we weren't even going to have an episode because I've got family in town. But I will say, as usual, if you are experiencing a mental illness or a mental health problem and you need any kind of help, there is lots of resources out there. We have a national mental health helpline now that you can access. And if you don't know where to reach out or where to go, please feel free to message me. You can message me directly through SeanO'RourkeLive.com and nobody else is going to see it on SeanO'RourkeLive.com if you put a message through that goes directly to me. If you message the Facebook page for Go Tell It to the Wall, there is a chance that one of our couple of admins will see it, but I can assure you that your privacy is, and you can even be anonymous, whatever it is, and I will help connect you with resources that will help you in your time of need. Or if you're just like, you just want to rant. I mean, I get a lot of ranting people too. They're usually ranting at me because they hate me. But if you just want to get some stuff off your chest, I'm here for that. I am not an expert. I am not a doctor. I simply go based off of my experience, 20 plus years of dealing with a mental illness. Really my entire life, but 20 plus years of dealing with mental illness, healthcare, and resources and everything else. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And make sure you're checking on your friends. Don't say, hey, how's your mental illness doing today? Just say, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a week or so, whatever it may be. Those little things can make such a difference for somebody who maybe they're struggling, maybe they're not struggling, maybe they're just having a bad day. Anything and everything in between. Check on your friends. All right, we got some positive news. This one was, I guess, kind of shocking from what I can understand. And I know a little bit about Kansas, and it's middle America, and, I believe it tends to be a red state. But they had a ballot measure just this past week that was completely, annihilated at the ballot box. And this was a ballot measure that was going to remove rights to abortion for those living in the state of Kansas. Would have changed the state constitution for the state of Kansas. And like I said, overwhelmingly defeated. People were genuinely shocked. They were shocked that not only was it defeated, but it was just defeated handily. And on top of that, there were reports that the voter turnout was just astronomical, because people care about these things. People care about women's rights. They're going to make their voices heard. And this is going to be a little bit of a divining rod, I guess, for moving forward. And, obviously if Kansas is rejecting this kind of measure, and California is, but there's other states where you're like, maybe they're red, purple, and probably not going to be down with banning women's health rights there in those states. So be ready for that. Good on you, Kansas. And that's what we're seeing here. And we've known this from polls. It's a minority of the country that wants to ban women's health rights. It is a smaller number. The problem is that smaller number happens to be in power in the Supreme Court right now. In power in certain states where they're making a lot of noise about these things. So, good on you, Kansas. I hope to see more and more and more of this, because women's health care is a right. And abortion is women's health care. That's simple as that. All right, let's move on to some parenting. So my daughter, my 5-year-old, she's been going to this sports camp. And I highly recommend a camp like this, the same as this, similar to this, because basically what they've done is it's like an 8-week, once a week, Sunday morning. It's an 8-week camp. And for 2 weeks, they work and learn the basics of a certain sport. So they did soccer, they did baseball, they did basketball, and now they're doing track and field. So obviously, with my background, I go to many of them, but it's Sunday, so I'm usually in the studio trying to get prepped and working. So I went today, and it was quite fun. But there's also the challenge of my kid thinking she's a track expert, because he was teaching like how to get into, and not. So one example is teaching to get into like a basic stance to go, and my daughter gets into a stance like she's getting into starting blocks. And the coach even says, "Okay, no, we're not getting into starting blocks here." And she said, "Oh, that's how my daddy does it, and that's how I see it on TV." And she's like, "I watch track on TV with my dad. My daddy was a track runner." And I'm just sitting there like, oh God, just listen to the coach. Just, oh God, hide in my face. And and I'm barely an expert. She thinks she's an expert. I am barely an expert. I just ran for many years. I have experience with it, and I've enjoyed watching track and field really since I was a teenager. So, and that's what she's talking about when we do that. But she just kept telling the coach. She's like, "I'm the expert." And she wasn't like not listening to him, but everything. Oh, yes. That's what I've seen on the TV. Just listen. Go. I wanted to be like, take a lap. Just take a lap and think about it. But highly recommend this stuff if because it keeps kids active. But instead of just putting them in one sport, especially at a young age, as they get older, you can see what they're interested. But this is a great opportunity for kids of a young age to then see what they're more interested in. My kid has found that she really likes basketball. She's got to work on her dribbling skills, but she really likes basketball. She's 5. She's got plenty of time. And, of course, she enjoys the track and field, as we learned this morning at her camp. All right, so we updated my kid's bed. She was in a what's called a toddler bed, for those of you that aren't familiar. And she's basically been in the same structure since she got out of sleeping in our room. So like 5 months, or when. For those of you not familiar, when you have a newborn, you tend to you get a little bassinet, put them on the side of the bed. It makes things a lot easier, and especially for moms, but even for dads if you're formula feeding. But a mother who's breastfeeding, it's easy because then they're eating every 2 hours. When they're newborn, you just pull them out, feed them, put them back. So we had one of those, what's called a convertible crib. So she was in a crib. Lowered it a little bit as she got bigger, and then it turned into a toddler bed. It's a bed, but it's a smaller mattress than a twin mattress. So what we did, my kid's been wanting a loft bed. It's what a lot of her friends have, and it's basically a bunk bed, but without a lower bunk. So decided we were getting one of these, and we got one and started building it in yesterday. And yesterday was just about as hot as today. And yes, we were building it inside, but good Lord, when you're holding up heavy, this is a metal structure, holding up heavy metal things, Air conditioning can only do so much. So I'm in there sweating, putting this thing together in the heat. And I got to tell you, I was cursing Alan yesterday. I don't know which Alan it is, but whichever Alan came up with the stupid Allen wrench, just give me a screwdriver. And here's the thing. You've all had to deal with this. You order IKEA furniture, and it's like, build this entire house with an Allen wrench. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess. It's this metal, and I have no problem turning the Allen wrench. But what happens is you get the Allen wrench screws that are right next to another part of it. So you're like, quarter turn, take it out, put it in. Quarter turn, take it out, put it in. Quarter turn, take it out, put it in. I was cursing Alan yesterday, man. I build most of the things in this house, and not because I'm a man or anything. I'll tell you, when it comes to that IKEA stuff, my wife, not only is she much better at building it, she actually enjoys building it, whereas I just start cursing IKEA and Alan of the Allen wrench. So that was a lot of fun. And then came the extra fun. My daughter she's a bit of a climber. And I got to say, my wife and my mother and my daughter are out getting stairs right now for this thing because it has a ladder. It's about a half an hour of trying to get her up this ladder. And then once she did, she's up and down the ladder like crazy, which is fine, except it was getting my blood pressure through the roof. I'm like, all right, if I come in here and you're on the ladder like it's monkey bars or something, that's going to be a little too much. And I know this is just, there's some worry of falling out because I look at this thing and I'm like, my kid used to be on the ground and now the bed's here. All right, but she did well. She did well last night. She slept in it and they love it. Highly recommend the loft bed depending on the age of your kids because then we put stuff underneath the loft bed. It was brilliant. It's funny, we're building the thing and she had a couple like little storage boxes under her bed and I'm pulling them out. I'm like, where am I going to put these now? And then I went, wait a minute. I can put a dresser under here if I want to. So she's all about that. I just got to get over the... Is she going to fall out of the bed? And that's the one thing I will say with the loft bed, and that's why the stairs are going to be much better, is she's great at getting up and down. But even if you don't have kids, you know that kids of a certain age, like they get up in the middle of the night or early in the morning, and my kid very much does this. She'll get up early in the morning. She'll come crawling to bed with us. And I don't want her like half asleep crawling down this ladder. That's when I would get a little worried. We're finishing up our couple weeks of like no camps or anything. She didn't have dance class these 2 weeks, which is nuts. She just had the sports camp the past 2 weeks. But next week we're sending her to drama camp. She's got the drama down. My wife and I have been joking about this for a couple weeks now. I don't know if she needs more drama training. I'm a little bit terrified of how much drama is going to be coming from her when she's done with this drama camp, but we'll see how that goes. Try the things. She's trying drama camp. She's doing dance class. I think this is a way, and don't force your kids to do things, but when they're at a young age and it's fun, they can discover what they like more. So we'll see. Maybe she's going to be an actress. I don't know. That's what's terrifying for me too. Is you all listen to me and see me on the video or whatever, and see me out at events. I am the extroverted introvert. I get it. Sometimes I don't shut up. When I was a kid, I had debilitating stage fright. My kid is as loud as me and does not have that stage fright, so I'm a little bit terrified of what that's going to turn into. She's going to be a little 12-year-old yelling at the wall in the studio and much more talented than I am, which I fully expect her to be much more talented than I am in pretty much everything, except for maybe reaching things on the high shelf, unless maybe she will grow as tall as me. Who knows? All right, Bluey Season 3. If you're a parent, you're into this, and even if you're not a parent, you're probably excited about this one. Bluey Season 3 is coming to Disney+. The first 2 seasons are on there. I think my kid has gone through both seasons like 3 or 4 times. If you're not familiar with Bluey, they're 7-minute episodes, so you can get through a couple pretty quick. They are also raucously hilarious. I enjoy watching them. I know many other adults, even without kids, that love to watch Bluey. In fact, I was talking to a couple of parents, friends that are parents yesterday, and I was like, oh, yeah, Bluey, right? And they're like, oh, we haven't tried that. I was like, come on. Like, you got to be watching the Bluey. Those grannies, oh, my God. I'm rolling laughing at Bluey myself. My kid loves it, too. So Season 3 is coming August 10th. The first half of the season is coming on August 10th, and the second half of the season, TBD, but will also eventually be coming to Disney+. I'm looking forward to that. I know my kid is looking forward to that. I'll be honest. It got announced a couple weeks ago, but I've actually known, I still got some Disney connections. I've actually known since like March or February or somewhere around there because I had some Disney connections and it was like, shh, don't tell anybody. Who am I going to tell? I'm not even telling my kid. And I didn't until it was announced. I was like, oh, season 3, it's finally coming. So we'll be watching. I know we'll be watching that in a few days. That is for darn sure. All right, let's talk some common sense. After I get a sip out of my Go Tell to the Wall mug. Here's a perfect time to tell you that you cannot get this exact mug. This is custom made just for me, courtesy of Stupid Brad Merch. But if you do want to pick up a coffee mug, you can get one through the Go Tell It to the Wall merch store, linked right there on SeanO'RourkeLive.com. It's going to look a little different, but it's going to be a common sense mug with the Go Tell It to the Wall logo, and eventually the new logo. Just hold fast. That logo's coming. All right, common sense. We're going to talk about the Catholic Church in Kansas. I have not fact-checked this, so please, nobody hold my feet to the fire on whether this is completely accurate. However, I am not surprised at all, because I've seen this happen in California, where it was to the tune of $8 million. The Catholic Church in Kansas actually spent $4 million supporting that measure that we were talking about. That was the positive news that was defeated. $4 million. And all of that essentially wasted because the measure didn't pass. And here's the thing. You want to have that belief? Don't get an abortion. But you should not impose it on other people. The thing that kills me with this, $4 million. You're going to tell me there's not a single child that is hungry in Kansas? There's no way that's accurate. So until you start spending money on political things, especially an organization that doesn't even pay taxes, before you start spending money on political things, take care of the people. That's what the Catholic Church should be doing. That's what the Christian Church should be doing. Shouldn't have mansions, shouldn't have all this other stuff injecting money into politics. Worry about taking care of people first. And unless you're doing that, to me, you're not a Christian. You're just simply not. They lost anyway. It's better use of that money, for the love of God. And then San Clemente. For those of you that don't live in California, or if you don't live in Southern California, maybe even, San Clemente is an area of Orange County. And actually, don't quote me on this, but I believe Richard Nixon might have been where he was born or grew up or something. Nobody quote me on that either. I didn't fact check that. I'm just pulling that out of thin air. I believe his library is there too. Either way, San Clemente, they're in the news. They're Orange County, so you know where this is going to go. They're actually pretty far south Orange County. Like essentially, you hit San Clemente and then you're just about to hit San Diego County. But another example of how not all of California is as progressive and compassionate as you would think. And Orange County is kind of part of that. We talked about how Huntington Beach is kind of the Florida of California, which it is. And San Clemente, a lovely area. I actually really enjoy beach camping there. I've been many, many times over the years. But they are attempting to ban abortions in San Clemente. Ban abortions in the city, and they're calling it a sanctuary for life city. Okay, that's fine. But again, taking away women's rights within a city, and of course I'm not shocked that it's Orange County. And just remember, not all of California is fantastic. There's areas where you're like, whoa. Trust me, I grew up in Poway, Wall fans. I've been on both sides. I live in the heart of Los Angeles now. I grew up in Poway. I know how it is. All right, Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't. This is what's crazy about this. It just pops up in the news every now and then. It's like a fucking cockroach. Kyle Rittenhouse is in the news again, and it's ridiculous why he's in the news, because he came out and complained that the media has made his life difficult by reporting on him. The media. Think about that. We hadn't heard from him in a little while. He comes out to say, oh, the media has made my life difficult, and then now he's in the media again. This is also the perfect example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. What did you expect to happen when you murdered people in the street? Not everyone's going to love you. And on top of that, he's out there doing interviews and showing up at rallies and all this stuff. Dude, if you really wanted to be left alone, you would just shut the fuck up and disappear. You don't need to be out in public and in the media. Nobody's making you do this. But of course, oh, little Kyle, I'm going to cry and stomp my feet and all this other stuff. Jesus Christ. It's not that hard. Just shut up. You know, don't go on podcasts and stuff. People will forget about you. I mean, maybe not completely, but George Zimmerman, that son of a bitch disappeared. And there was some other stuff after the fact, but he's gone now. We don't hear about him anymore. Make like George Zimmerman Get the fuck out. Cracker Barrel. Oh, boy. I'll be honest, I've never been to a Cracker Barrel. And when I was doing our cross-country trip last year, just about a little over a year ago, I still didn't go to Cracker Barrel. I'm like, I'm eating more Popeyes and that kind of stuff and some barbecue in Texas, the good stuff, you know? But Cracker Barrel, very rabid fan base, apparently. And I kind of knew this over the years. They recently announced that they're going to carry Impossible sausage. This is plant-based sausage. You know, you have the Beyond Meat, the Impossible Meat. I'm sure there's some other brands out there. I don't eat a ton of it. I think it's fine. I'll just have the vegetables as opposed to having them try and be like meat. That's just me. I have no problem with it. However, Cracker Barrel, hardcore Cracker Barrel fans, have decided that Cracker Barrel is done. They've jumped the shark. They're ridiculous, and some of their fans are no longer going to eat at Cracker Barrel simply because of Impossible sausage. Let me clarify that too, Wall fans. They didn't switch their pork sausage to Impossible sausage. They simply are now including another option for people that don't want regular sausage and may want a meatless option like Impossible. It blows my mind that anybody can be upset about this. It's very similar to many other things. You know, people freak out about LGBTQ and transgender and women's rights, and it's like, well, just don't do it. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's not affecting you. And if it is affecting you, you need to ask yourself, why is it affecting you so bad? Why are you so upset that they have a vegetarian option now, a meatless option now? There's nothing about that. I could completely understand at least somewhat of an uproar if they were like, well, we're done serving regular sausage now. It's all Impossible sausage. And then it'd be like, yeah, if I was a big Cracker Barrel fan, yeah. Like if Popeyes, one day they were like, well, we're done with chicken. We're going to have vegan chicken now. I'd be like, well, that sucks. That's just me. But no, you're still going to get all your other shit. Can you imagine going to a restaurant and being like, well, I don't like 3 things on this menu. I'm not going to eat here anymore. Oh, but sir, we still have all the things that you really... Oh, no. Because you have these things I don't like, I don't care that you have the things I like, I'm done eating here. It's literally what's happening with these Cracker Barrel people. And of course, there are people out there like defending and being like, yo, you don't have to, just like with women's rights, you don't have to get an abortion. You don't have to eat the fucking sausage. You don't have to eat the Impossible sausage. Why is this so difficult for people? I'm really curious if stuff like this happens in other countries. I'm sure it does at least to an extent, but this feels like such an American thing happening right now. Where, my sausage, like, really? Okay. And honestly, a lot of those people that are upset about the Impossible sausage, maybe just try some Impossible sausage. Might clear up some arteries there for you. You know what I mean? All right, Balenciaga or whatever that stupid company is. Why? We're always talking about Balenciaga, or we were talking about Tiffany. And of course, it's in common sense because they're doing stupid things. And this is the one that pisses me off the most. The Tiffany NFT, not near as much as this. Balenciaga has come out with what they are calling the world's most expensive trash bag. I have seen pictures of this thing. It is essentially a fancy trash bag to the tune of almost $8,000. $8,000. My computer doesn't cost that. I think if you take my computer, my microphone, my headphones, my monitor here, my lamp, my speakers that are right here, and throw in the mug too, still not $8,000. But if you want to own the world's most expensive trash bag, you can drop almost $8,000 and get one from Balenciaga, or I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And honestly, I don't really care because I don't care for that company at all. Although I keep hitting the point where, and this is like when we were talking about Marge at the top of the episode here. Is this company just trolling everyone? Is this just like a big, art installation or something, a social experiment to see how many they can sell? I can't tell, but good Lord. $8,000. It almost seems like they're poking fun at people that have to use a trash bag as a suitcase. Although maybe just, can I sell the trash bags I have? You know what? Here's the thing, Wall fans. Go tell it to the Wall fan special. If you're into that, I will sell you a trash bag for $100. Maybe we'll throw them up on the merch site. I wonder if I could do that. $100 trash bags from the studio of Go Tell It. Can you imagine? I was about to say, like, I would love to meet the person that is actually purchasing these things. I take that back. I don't want to meet the person that's purchasing these things. Good God, man. $8,000. Fucking trash bag. And don't send me the hate. I don't get the hate mail on this. I think we all are 100% in agreement on this one. I will say I believe it is made of leather, but Jesus Christ, who cares? It's still a fucking trash bag. And I'll keep you all updated because I live in Highland Park, like the hipster capital. If I see all the hipsters running around with trash bags, I'll update everyone on that. I'll see them walking down the street near my house here. All right, Doja Cat. Couldn't even tell you a single Doja Cat song, but here I am talking about her because here's common sense. Doja Cat was in the news this past week or so because she was fighting with some fans on Twitter. And it's funny, I actually read a couple of these back and forth, and one of the fans was like, didn't even say anything mean, was like, yeah, you're great. Just chill out. Stop complaining about things. And she started calling people stupid nerds. Literally, I quote, you're a stupid nerd. Wait, is it 1989? Is this how we talk again? I know the 90s are back, but I feel like that should just be left way back there in the 80s and 90s. And so people were like, whoa, what is going on here? And here's, you want to call people, fine. She's not harming anybody, that's fine. But then, a couple days later, apparently she got on some live stream, shaved her head, and shaved off her eyebrows. Again, fine. You want to shave your eyebrows? Fine. Shave your head, shave your eyebrows. I don't care. But, based on these two things in conjunction with one another, it seems that she is looking for attention. And again, nothing wrong with that. There's saying I learned it, well, and I knew it before that, but I really learned the minutia of in film school is there's no such thing as bad publicity. And all in her defense, here we are at Go Tell Us the Wall, and I'm talking about fucking Doja Cat. So I guess it's working. Do you think we'll get more listeners if I shave off my eyebrows during an episode? Probably not. Nobody's going to care. I would look really funky with no eyebrows, especially if I left the beard. Just be like bald through here and then giant beard. I'd have to grow the beard more, I think. All right, one more thing here in the common sense. I'm going to try to say it with a straight face. Mouse Jiggler apps. This is a thing. You ever heard of this, Wall fans? Just learned about it this week. There's apparently an employee who was working from home on a company machine, like computer, and apparently somebody from the IT department contacted, or their boss, irrelevant to the main point here, contacted her and said, what is this on your computer? It seems like you're using this to make it seem as though you're working. So from what I can gather, the Mouse Jiggler app is something that makes, I'm like doing it right now on my computer, like you guys can see it. It makes the little mouse icon move around every few minutes or so. So it seems like you're sitting in front of your computer. Or, this was the other thing, so your screen stays on. I was like, okay. And this got deeper too. And before I get to that, here's the thing. If you have a corporate computer, a company computer, don't install software on it. Check with your IT department. Make sure that you're allowed to install that software. Have them install it. I've been there. I've had many, many, many company computers over the years. I was at Disney with multiple company computers. And I'll tell you, and I did install a couple things, but I knew the IT guy real well. And I would say, hey, can you come install this? Or is it okay if I install, iTunes so that I can listen to stuff from the studio? And a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, no. And he'd send me a link. Make sure it's this link so you have the right, okay, cool. Or he'd come in and install it for me. Like, that's what you do. So don't get yourself in trouble. Then people were going on there. I saw some comments. Get a manual mouse jiggler, which is not an app. It's apparently something that makes... So I just imagine a robot arm, bow down to the robot overlords, reaching in and moving your mouse around to make it look like you're sitting there and keeping your screen on. The biggest kicker of all of this, and I knew this, and I went into my settings and I was like, did this go away? Am I just old? Any computer, you should be able to go on there and tell it not to go to sleep. You can tell your monitor not to go to sleep, and your computer screen just stays on. I use this quite often, especially, and you can do it when it's plugged in. So my computer is set when I'm docked into my studio here and into my rig, it doesn't turn off. I have to actually turn it off, turn the screen off. I got to turn this monitor off. Nobody on the video is seeing it. I like to point around at things that nobody can see. It stays on. So what are we doing? I just don't understand. Mouse Jiggler apps. I'm like, what? All right, let's get in some entertainment news, and then we're going to wrap up episode 85 here. All right, this one is a big one. We lost a legend in baseball this week. Rest in peace to the great Vin Scully, who was Dodgers broadcaster, not play-by-play, but Dodgers broadcaster for 67 years. He retired in 2016, but was still a large part of the team. And I'll tell you, for those of you that aren't familiar with Vin Scully, a couple things. Even if you don't like sports at all, if you're somebody who's never heard of Vin Scully, you don't like sports at all, I encourage you to just go listen to like 10 minutes, and you can Google it and say, Vin Scully telling a story. Do that, for example. And even if you're hate sports, there's a certain appreciation you will have for Vin Scully. He was unquestionably the best in the game broadcasting baseball. There was nobody as good as him. There's plenty of other broadcasters out there that are very, very good, and it's not to take away from those broadcasters. None of them compare to Vin. People who are hardcore fans of other teams, even people that hate the Dodgers, will tell you that he was the best in the business when it came to being a professional baseball broadcaster. L.A. is in mourning right now. The good thing is, for those of you that don't know him, he was 94. He lived a very full life. He lost his wife a couple years ago. So, I'm sure it was his time. But so generations of people in L.A. and Brooklyn, he started in Brooklyn, grew up listening to him. Parents and kids and then their grandkids. Generations. In the city of Los Angeles. And it's rare you see that much outpouring when somebody passes away, but that was one of those. The city of Los Angeles is in mourning. And they're placing a lot of gifts down there at Vin Scully Way, right by Dodger Stadium. And I can say, even as a casual Dodgers fan from living here so long, definitely the best in the biz. I have, for the past few years, missed hearing his voice on games, and it's sad to know that now he is gone, and we're not going to hear his voice outside of recordings ever again. So rest in peace, Vin Scully. Hail, fellow well met. And my heart is with everyone in Los Angeles and around the country that is currently mourning Vin's passing. All right, Green Day. We got Outside Lands happening up there in the Bay Area this weekend. Green Day, they were in the news a little bit from last night. I believe they headlined Outside Lands last night. And apparently word is up in San Francisco, and if you're in the Bay Area, please hit me up. Let me know how close you were to Outside Lands, that you could hear Green Day like almost throughout the city. Now, that seems crazy. I'm sure it wasn't the whole city. But apparently you could hear Green Day's set from a couple miles away. Now, it's not going to be as loud as if you're standing at the stage, but good Lord, guys. Playing loud, playing fast. I enjoy that. I would have loved to be somewhere near Outside Lands and just been hearing it, but apparently that was going on there in the Bay Area last night. Rebellion Fest, just finishing up now, actually. I believe this is the last day. I'm always bad with the time zones, despite the fact that I have so many friends in the UK. I'm always like, what? Oh, okay, yes, time. But Rebellion Fest, that's happening. I got to say, I'm super jealous. Looks like so much fun. And Barstool Preachers back at Rebellion Fest. I saw many clips of their sets. They did a main set, and they also did a semi-acoustic set. And that's the advantage of being the admin for the main Barstool Preachers fan group on Facebook. Is I don't even have to search for them. Everyone in the fan group's like, hey, check it out, Rebellion Fest. And it was fantastic. Looked like the boys were having a great time. And I'm just happy to see them back to these large live shows. And speaking of the Barstool Preachers, we also got some news while Rebellion Fest was happening. That would be a new single, new label, and a new music video, all coming out this past week from the Barstool Preachers. The new single is called Call Me On The Way Home. It is fantastic. There's a new music video for it. I will be honest with all of you. I think I teased it a little bit back in November, December. It had some slight changes, but it is the music video that I was able to see before many other people, courtesy of Paul Smith of Zombie Teeth Clothing, but also Zombie Teeth music video making, because this was cut by the great Paul Smith of Zombie Teeth Clothing. Check it out. It's on YouTube. You can stream the single on all of your streaming platforms. I'm waiting until the album's out. I'm just using the YouTube for that one. And brand new label for the Barstool Preachers. I love Pirates Press. The Preachers love Pirates Press. Every one family, one flag. The sticker's literally right there. But it was one of those situations where they just needed to move on to a bigger record label, and that record label is Pure Noise. For those of you not familiar with Pure Noise, they have a lot of great artists on their label, including Less Than Jake. So I think this is going to be great for all of the boys in the Barstool Preachers. And on top of that, Kevin Bavona was involved in the new song, did the final mix on it, from what I understand, helped out with the mixing on it, and we are going to be seeing an album very soon. We've known for a long time, and I know Paul's going to listen to this, and he's banging his head against the wall, because he's been trying to get that single, the music video released since, like, November, even before that, maybe. Album's done, we're just, here it comes, it's coming soon. I'm ready for the new album. You know, we have Call Me On the Way Home, Lighthouse Keeper, which they have played on a couple of live streams. We know those are coming, super excited about it, and I know, I don't want to spoil anything, but I know there are more music videos coming that involve the very talented Paul Smith of Zombie Teeth Clothing. And speaking of Kevin Bavona, and this past Monday night, I had the absolute privilege, let's see if I can pop this up here, I had the absolute privilege of going to a very, 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 very special show at the K-Rock Sound Space, the Interrupters. They played the K-Rock Sound Space this past Monday. Huge, huge, huge shout out and thank you to Raven of Girls Like Us, also a close friend of mine who had an extra ticket and hit me up and said, do you want to go to this? And I said, yes, I would love to go to that. And so seeing them, I'm still buzzing from it. Like, still, it's been a week of me just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Got to listen to the full record before, and the record did come out on Friday. You can get it now. I know if people had pre-ordered the vinyl, it's been arriving. I'm seeing it like crazy on all the socials and stuff, which we'll talk about in a few minutes here. The small stage, maybe 100 people. And if you go to my Instagram at SoCalSean, you will see, in fact, how close I was to the stage. Tiny, tiny stage, like a few feet from, and I'm on Kevin's side, and, Justin and Kevin kind of go back and forth, but a few feet from Kevin and Amy right here, dancing, having a blast. They played a bunch of their older songs off previous albums, 2 songs off the new album. That would be In the Mirror, which has been out for a while, but we had the privilege of hearing a song that hadn't been out yet, and it's called Raised by Wolves. Coincidentally ended up being one of my favorite songs off the new album. But it was great to just get out there dancing with all these hardcore fans. This was a small event that you had to win tickets to, so I was fortunate enough to get out there. And on top of that, after the show, we go out and we're walking out, and they hand us signed posters. So I'm like, oh my, this is great. They handed us signed posters, and then they'd given us raffle tickets at the beginning. They were like, oh, we'll explain it later. And we walk, they go, okay, go to the K-Rock table, outside, and give me a raffle ticket. I go out there. They hand us these beautiful little signed records, vinyl right there with Kevin's funky arm. I know, Kevin's funky arm. We got the lowdown on that. Maybe I'll save that for another episode. Because, yes, actually, lots of picks from the show, like I said. Oh, and actually, before I get to that, I caught a pick and a set list from Kevin. It was a Kevin pick. I probably should have caught a Justin pick. He almost took my head off with one. He was actually aiming for a mutual friend of ours who was standing right behind me and to the side. And I'm looking up there, and suddenly they're just, pick goes flying. They've gotten quite good at throwing those picks. I don't know how they do it, but it's like that dude that's viral for throwing the cards and hitting things and I was like, okay, almost lost an eye there, Justin. And he's pointing at us, and I'm like, yeah, thanks, buddy. Neither of us got that pick, but I did get a Kevin pick. And I caught Kevin and Amy after the show, which was nice because we're just hanging out. I'm there with a couple different friends and some friends I just met, that night, and a couple friends that I've known for a while, and we're hanging out afterward. And Kevin was out early, which was why I got a pic. If you look at Instagram, there's a picture of me and Kevin, and he has changed his shirt for the picture of me and Kevin and Amy because he went back in. Amy came out, offered to sign all our stuff, and we were all kind of like, well, it's all signed. We're good. Can we take some pictures? And so take a couple pictures. You can see those on Instagram at SoCalSean on the Instagram, my own personal Instagram account. Amy, in fact, and I am wearing one of my Barstool Preachers shirts today for the episode. I actually don't think this one's been on an episode. I have so many Barstool Preacher shirts that I can never remember. But I was wearing one on Monday night. And I had said to both Kevin and Amy, I said, hey, because they they are now in the UK. They're going to have their first, they had a couple shows, and they're going to have their first official tour show, I think tonight or tomorrow, with the Barstool Preachers. And as you know, they're very close friends. So, I know them well. And so I said, hey, take care of our boys when you get over there. Safe travels, take care of our boys. And I said, showed the shirt. I said, look, I had my vest on, so you couldn't really see it. And I don't think Amy had noticed it at first. And she said, oh, my God, let's take a picture with that shirt. So she takes, I'd taken a couple selfies with her. She takes her phone out, says, all right, stand here. And I had to move the vest so the shirt could show. And she's taking selfies with my shirt. And she's like, I'm going to show them. I said, yeah, show TJ. And he's going to be like, oh, that's Sean. So I reminded the boys today, too. I was like, make sure Amy shows you the picture. I told them to take care of you, boys, and I know they will. I haven't had a lot of experience with Jesse and Justin, but Kevin and Amy, it's just some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. Kind, so appreciative of their fans, and it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's going to be impossible to catch the Interrupters on a stage that small ever again, because they've gotten so big, and I'm happy for them that they've gotten that big. And I'll be seeing them again in September. That was the last thing I said. We'll see you in September, because they're over in the UK for that leg of the tour, and then they're coming back to the U.S. for that tour, and I'll be seeing them down in Irvine in September. We'll talk about that more as it gets closer. And the actual album itself, In the Wild, all I can say is holy shit, they've done it again. It is all hits. There's no filler in there. It is just all hits from start to finish. And I will say there's a couple that I like more than others. There's a song called Burdens, which features Hepcat. It is a wonderful, wonderful reggae-sounding ska song. I absolutely love it. Raised by Wolves, as I mentioned, just hits hard, in a good way hard. And then, of course, Worst for Me has just that classic ska punk rock sound. Those would be my top three. But again, start to finish, fantastic album. And I will say, In the Mirror hits a little harder live because you really get that drum. You feel it in your chest. It was fantastic seeing that one live as well. So make sure you are picking up this album. It's on all the streaming. It's on vinyl. It's on CD. It's on cassette. I don't know why we're doing this cassette thing, but everyone's obsessed with the cassettes. But you can get it on cassette. I recommend picking up the vinyl and the digital copy. That's what I've got. Got it in digital, and I've got this nice little fancy vinyl here. All right. Like I said, it's been a week. So many things happening. Interrupters doing things, and the Barstool Preachers and their announcement. I woke up. I knew it was coming soon, but I woke up. I was like, oh, God, why is my phone going crazy? Oh, okay. Yep, let's update. Oh, okay, all the things. All right, here we go. All right, a couple more things, and then we're going to call it a day with episode 85. This was supposed to be a shorter episode, and here it is not being a shorter episode. That's partly why I eliminated most of the mental health segment here. But a couple things very important. New Basis Against Racist design is out. This is the August design for Basis Against Racists. It is Hanny J of Clowns. I always want to say The Clowns, but it's just Clowns. It's a very well-known band. I'm not super familiar with them, but Hanny J. It's also they're all fantastic designs, but I think, and I've talked to Paul about this, sometimes the picture to work off is a little better and it's a joke about bassists. They just stand there, and some of them don't. I mean, Flea of Red Hot Chili Peppers. Good Lord, I swear that guy's doing like backflips while he's playing bass. But it's the joke, and so sometimes it's like, well, he's just standing there, and then sometimes you get a design like this month's, which is just fantastic. And so I highly recommend picking up one of those. Designed by, of course, Paul Smith of Zombie Teeth Clothing. And this is the brainchild of Lynn Lee of Bad Cop, as I always say. And if you are in the United States, you're going to order that from Chaos Merch. You're going to pre-order through Chaos Merch. And if you are in Europe, you are going to pre-order through T-Mom Merch. So make sure you're picking up your August. And you got some time here. It's only the 7th. Just came out, but make sure you got like 3 weeks. Make sure you pre-order your new Basis Against Racist shirts. And lastly, before we call it an episode, next Saturday is Summer Sizzler Volume 2. This is a fest being headlined by the great Bite Me Bambi ska band out of Orange County. I will be out there at Garden Grove Amphitheater. I did just recently see a post that there is a low ticket warning, which is definitely less than 100 tickets, because like a week ago there was 100 tickets left. It's less than that now, so if you don't have your tickets, make sure you pick up a ticket. It's going to be a fantastic time. The tickets are very reasonably priced. You're going to get a afternoon and evening of great ska music, kid-friendly. I will be out there with the whole family. I will also be out there looking kind of ridiculous. This will be Saturday, August 13th at Garden Amp. So we're doing a little thing called a Cabana Suit Strut. I picked up a cabana suit. If you're not familiar with cabana suits, Google it, check it out. And I've also got my ridiculous jewelry that's going to go along with that. So it's going to be a fantastic time. And if you're out there and you see me and you don't have any stickers, give me a fist bump and I'll throw some stickers your way because it's going to be a great time. All right. We should have an episode next Sunday. I'll be honest, if we don't, it's just going to be me being greedy because there's a little barbecue action happening not far from my house, and it's a fantastic barbecue. It's like mobile barbecue. I don't want to call it a truck because they got the big ass smokers that they bring out there. Oh, that gets me no matter what. Yeah, if I'm somewhere and I smell it and I see a big ass smoker and people selling the smoked barbecue meats, I'm like, yeah, please give me this. So we'll see how, but we should be back next week. Same old place, same old time. Don't forget to follow us on the socials, facebook.com/GoTellItToTheWall. Also, youtube.com/GoTellItToTheWall. My own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean, SoCalSean. And, of course, SeanO'RourkeLive.com, where you'll find links to all those things, as well as a link to our Patreon campaign and our merch website, which I promise you all fans will be updated within the next 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks on it. We'll get the new logo up there. But make sure you're bookmarking, following that, and supporting us if you have the means to do so and you want to do so. All right, this has been episode 85 of Common Sense Sundays with Go Tell It to the Wall. I am your host, of course. I am your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. And remember, Wall fans, Common Sensors, podcast consumers, no matter what you do, no matter who you're with, no matter where you go, and especially no matter why you are doing it, always, always use common sense.